What a wonderful little place. It's not a particularly difficult walk to get here, but it's quite steep. And halfway down I'm thinking, oh, I really should have brought my welly gogs. But there's another level below us where the waterfall actually hits into, and I can get to where I kind of want to be without getting wet feet, which is good. This is a 3-tier waterfall. I can just see the first tier at the very top, but then we've got a 15-foot drop and then a massive drop, maybe 35 foot, probably longer than that, or taller than that. And I wanted to capture the 2 larger falls before I went down. It's very difficult. Where you've just seen the video, there's a tree on the left and a tree on the right, and if I use the 70 to 200, I would be cutting out the bottom and or the top of the image because it's too close. I'm on the 17 to 55 at about 34 mil, and I am perched very precariously. This tree here, just out of earshot, is quite bulbous on this side. Then we have some leaves from that tree encroaching. We have some, I want to say, maple. Do you get maple over here? Something like that. They're very nice anyway. These ones encroaching over the top. And bottom right, there's some broken branches on the furthest right hand tree. And the bottom, that much, is encroaching into the bottom of the image where the water's hitting, or the fall is hitting the pool at the bottom. And I can't do anything about that, but it's going to get cleaned out because it's really darned annoying me. I tried a couple of images with no filters and a fairly normal exposure time, but it just didn't do anything for me. The right hand side of the fall is going quite well. The left hand side is more sort of streaks. The top fall, or the second fall rather, that's in full flow all over. That's really good. But the bottom one not so much, so I decided I wanted the smooth effect. So I popped the polarizer on to take the glare off. It's not a blue sky day, but there's not a lot of cloud cover, and the sun is coming up over in that direction, obviously sort of towards me. I wanted to get the reflections off the water, and I've then stuck a 0.6 medium grad, pulled all the way down to the bottom of the falls so I could expose for the foliage correctly without blowing the water. And I've ended up with a shot at f18, 10 seconds, and I'm just going to, no, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, I just can't get the white balance set how I want it to do. 10 seconds f18, ISO 100, and that I think works quite nicely. Because I'm shooting portrait, it's really difficult to show you exactly what I'm doing. But there's a second image I can possibly get from here using the 1755. Do I prefer that? Yes, I think I do. I'm moving very slowly and very carefully, because one wrong move and this camera's going to go down there. This is my first day of my little trip. Just a short trip. Felt the need to get away. But yeah, I quite like that as a starting image. I'm going to wander down the bottom in a second, but let me just see if I can show you what I'm doing here. Well, this is as good as I'm going to get, but you can see the second fall up here, and just round that corner is the third fall. This is the tree that I was on about, so I've got a bit of a bulbous bit there with the ivy growing off it. If I just wiggle you around here, those leaves and those leaves are just getting in the way. You see, I've got the camera down a little bit lower, and that stick there is the one that's getting in the way and is going to be removed. In terms of what I'm doing with the camera, there's my legs, not my legs, the camera legs, and that's the other one. Just slightly iffy, balanced on the tree's trunk. I've just had a wander around with the mobile phone. And in case you're wondering, it's ridiculously warm. It's very muggy. But there's lots of midges about, which is why I have my coat on up there. For some reason, there was more midges at the top than there is down here. Perhaps the water keeps them away. Yes, it is slipperier than a slippy thing down here. So rather than grab the tripod and wander around and see if I could come up with a composition, I've taken the mobile and had a scoot around. I'm up here or up here somewhere, like Bambi on ice, because it is so slippery. There's a couple of compositions that I've found. You won't see it from where you are, but and I'm trying to shield the mic from the waterfall noise. This rock formation over here to my right, there's a fern coming out of one of the rocks, and there are some lines between the rocks which lead into the waterfall. I think I can do that one portrait and get both falls in. And then if I stand even further back round this corner, there is a landscape option where I've got all the rocks as the foreground, because there's almost a curve with the rocks leading out to the fall. And then in this far right hand corner, again you'll not see it from there, we've got dead leaves and twigs swirling around on the water. So if I do a long exposure, that should hopefully pick a bit of a swirl up. The third one I've seen, I think, is from down here. I'm not convinced that down there works, but down here I think does, because we've got the main fall and then there's a little ledge that the water is trickling over, excuse me, and coming off of that we've got some streakiness. We've got some white fluffy foam where the water's bellowing over, and it's streaking out, and that would come out sort of bottom left hand corner of the image. And again, getting the whole of the fall in. We're not quite in fall here yet. I think the island is further behind than the mainland. So the greenery is a bit tatty. There's fallen leaves that are dead. The ferns are a little bit past the best. And the other greenery, I don't know what it's called, it's this, which if I was at home I would say is clover, but some of these look a bit too big to be clover. They're a bit bitty, so they're not doing anything. I'm going to use the polarizer to try and take the glare off. I am going to use hopefully the f-stop and the shutter speed rather than the 6-stop, and rather than a grad filter, which is what I was doing at the top. I put a grad filter in, which is slightly less opaque than the 6-stop. I might still use the grad filter just to hold the water back a little bit rather than getting blown spots. It's a case of fiddling and faffing around. I'm not going to take the video camera down there, I don't think, because there's not enough room and I'm going to be faffing around. So bear with me and I'll come back to you once I've got the images. I'll try and do a couple of pieces through the camera video to show you the compositions once I've got them lined up. This is a beautiful little spot. There was somebody down here wild swimming earlier on. Ooh, a bit too cold for me, that is. But whatever floats your boat. Well, I found my way over to my first composition. And, I'm trying to crouch down behind the camera. I've got this one in landscape, so we've got this. When I'm in video mode, it doesn't give me the full view. That's more like the scene that I've got when I'm on camera mode as opposed to video mode. I've got the polarizer on, and if I just turn the polarizer on, you see the difference it makes. You get the reflection of the waterfall, which might actually be quite nice, and I ought to try an image with it in. But I prefer water dark. You just turn it on and off, you can see the difference it makes. I've got slightly more of this top fall in view when I'm in camera mode rather than video mode. And it's almost more like Let me turn that. There's less gap here. It's weird how it changes perspective. But yes, that was my landscape shot. I'm quite happy with that. I ended up with the polarizer. I ended up at, I think it was f14 and at 5 seconds to get some of these twigs swirling. I did try one with a shorter exposure without the grad in it. There was nothing over here and I could see the twigs swirling. I thought that will add to the image. So I pulled the grad down, changed the f-stop and extended the shutter time slightly, only to 5 seconds, but it was enough. So yes, quite pleased with that one. And while I'm in this position, I can move slightly to my left and get the other portrait image. Most of these images are going to be portrait, simply because the scene lends itself more to portrait than landscape. I know this has gone portrait orientation, not a lot I can do because it's the only way I can show you the composition. I'm also facing the water as I was with the last one, so there's possibly a lot more noise than there should be. Should just be able to see the lines in these rocks, and they lead out almost through that gap in those two rocks up to the waterfall. There's a nice bright bit up here that I've kept in, quite like that, and I do believe I can feel the rain. So that might stop the play in a minute. I'm going to do one more image. That I ended up using the grad again, and I was on about, again, 5 seconds, simply because there's a little bit of swirly stuff over here, and I got the polarizer on to take the glare off. I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, you can see the difference it makes. You can also see I haven't got my wide-angled adapter on, so the top right-hand corner there, I'm getting a bit of light leakage. So all I have to do, hold my hand over the top of the camera. You can see it does make a difference to the amount of glare that you get. Right, on to the third and final one before the heavens open. Well, yes, it did start raining and it is still raining. Thankfully, it's coming down vertically and not horizontally. So with a rapid bit of cleaning of the filters and trying to shield everything with my jacket, which by the way isn't rainproof, it's showerproof, it's very wet. We managed to get a shot down here, and that's another, it's another portrait one, but that's just how this landscape presents itself. I didn't get the image that I was going to take over there with the ferns in the foreground. I couldn't jiggle and wiggle things to set it up correctly, but I do like the ones that I got down here. I've got two different compositions down there. The only drawback is the left-hand cliff face is completely in shade, so it's going to need a little bit of post-production on that one to bring the shadows up. It almost looks like I've had a graduated filter pulled over on the left-hand side of the image. Bizarre. And the one thing I have had to remember whilst I've been taking these is the post-processing that I use will make the image, if that makes sense. I like the base image. I can see in my mind how I'm going to post-process it. I can't remember the name of the process that you use, but it will soften everything, give it that more mysterious feel. Mysterious, mystical, soft glow that I absolutely love on this type of image. And it'll work well because we've got some beautiful greens, some darker colours, we've got the whites of the water. So I am now going to wend my way back up to Maddie. I'm beginning to wish I brought a drink down with me because I am gagging for a drink. But this was well worth it. As I say, I've no real preconceived ideas of this place. I'd seen a couple of things on Google when I just Googled waterfalls. I tried to get into Flickr to see what was there, but I couldn't because there's no signal out here. So it was a case of, let's go down and see what's what. So yeah, it's a beautiful little place. It'd be even better if it wasn't bloody raining. So before you get drowned and I get any wetter, I'm going to pack up, head back up. The only problem with coming down is you've got to go back up. Hope you enjoy the images. Thanks for coming along. Have a good couple of weeks, and if I've dried out by then, I'll see you again. Toodaloo.